Everyone at Rosewood High knew Alina Summers as the quiet girl. She didn't talk much, didn't hang out after class, and always sat by the window, drawing or reading during breaks. Her soft features, gentle brown eyes, and calm demeanor made her an easy target for teasing. But what no one knew was that the silence she wore like a blanket wasn't fear, it was choice. Alina had spent her life observing people, learning their ways, quietly understanding the world around her. She wasn't weak, she just hadn't shown her strength yet. The problem started when Bryce, the most arrogant senior in school, took a sudden interest in her. Bryce, with his cocky smile, gelled hair, and a trail of admirers, wasn't used to hearing no, and when Alina politely rejected his offer to go out, he couldn't take it. It wasn't a public rejection, nor was she rude, she simply said, "I'm not interested. Please don't ask again." But Bryce's ego cracked like glass. That day, whispers spread like wildfire. Rumors twisted her rejection into something else entirely. Bryce's friends, Liam and Carter, took it upon themselves to teach her a lesson. They began tormenting her in the halls, blocking her locker, snickering loudly when she walked past, and planting false notes in her books. Alina held her head high, never letting the tears fall in public, never letting them see the hurt they were causing. But the bullying was growing more aggressive each day. One Monday, when the winter sun barely lit the frosted windows of the school, everything changed. Alina entered the chemistry lab early for her project when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned around, and there they were. Bryce, Liam, and Carter, grinning like wolves. "So shy girl thinks she's better than us, huh?" Bryce sneered. "Let's make her popular." Before Alina could react, Bryce grabbed her shoulder, Liam ripped open the back of her shirt, and Carter filmed the whole thing, laughing. The tearing sound echoed in her ears louder than the laughter. Her exposed back felt like fire under the fluorescent lights, her hands trembling as she clutched what remained of her shirt. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She looked Bryce dead in the eyes. And something in her silence shook him. The bullies ran before a teacher arrived. But Alina didn't run. She stood there, humiliated, shirt torn, but her eyes weren't filled with shame. They were filled with something new, resolve. That night at home, Alina stared at herself in the mirror. For too long she had let others define her. Too long she had been the quiet girl, the easy target. But not anymore. She dug through her old journals and pulled out a plan, an idea she had thought of long ago but was too scared to pursue. She started making notes. She contacted her cousin Mia, who was a junior reporter for a local teen blog, and told her everything. The next day, she returned to school in a simple black hoodie, but this time she walked with purpose. She met Mia outside the gates, and they spent lunch interviewing students, quietly gathering testimonies from other girls who had experienced harassment from the same group of bullies. Turns out, Alina wasn't the only one, they just never had the courage to speak. But Alina's story ignited something. Her refusal to hide sparked others to come forward. Meanwhile, Bryce and his gang smirked in the halls, still laughing about what they'd done. Carter had even posted blurred clips of the incident to a private story, bragging about their joke. But they had no idea what was coming. Because Alina wasn't done. She'd submitted her statement, along with the testimonies and video proof, to the school board, the blog, and the district's anti-bullying committee. Mia's article was going live on Friday. That Friday was unlike any other. Phones buzzed with notifications as the headline spread. Shy girl silenced no more, the truth behind Rosewood's bullies. The article detailed every moment, names redacted, but hints obvious enough for anyone to figure out. Screenshots of the private video story, anonymous confessions, and Alina's brave interview all painted a chilling picture. And students began to talk, not about Alina's rejection, but about the 3 boys who had crossed a line. The bullies' laughs faded. Teachers called them into the office one by one. Parents were contacted. An investigation was launched. But the storm wasn't over. Because Alina had one more card to play, one that would make the entire school look at her with new eyes. Stay tuned for Chapter 2, because what Alina does next will leave the bullies with nowhere to hide. And if you've ever been underestimated, bullied, or broken, this story is for you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because stories like this one deserve to be heard. Let's raise voices for the silent ones. The days following Mia's blog post were filled with an uncomfortable buzz that haunted every hallway of Rosewood High. Teachers spoke in hushed tones. Students whispered as Alina walked by, no longer with laughter or ridicule, but with stunned silence and, slowly, admiration. The article had gone viral beyond their school. Other students from nearby districts were sharing it. The screenshots. The testimonies. The truth. Alina's voice, once so silent, now echoed in every corner of the school, and beyond. But Alina didn't stop there. She wasn't looking for pity or attention. She was seeking justice, not just for herself, but for every quiet girl who was mocked for saying no. She scheduled a meeting with Principal Harrow and requested permission to speak during the school's weekly assembly. At first, the administration was hesitant. The incident was under investigation, and they feared backlash. But after pressure from parents and a flood of support from students, they had no choice but to allow it. Friday morning came fast. The auditorium was packed. Students slouched in chairs, phones in hands, not knowing what to expect. Bryce, Liam, and Carter sat near the back, acting as if they were unfazed, but their eyes darted nervously. Alina walked onto the stage wearing a crisp white shirt, one that shimmered softly under the spotlight. She stood behind the podium, adjusted the mic, and paused. For a moment, she said nothing. Just like always. But then, her voice cut through the air like a blade. Some of you know me as the quiet girl. The one who keeps to herself. The one easy to push around because she doesn't fight back. But staying quiet doesn't mean I didn't feel the pain. And silence doesn't mean weakness. Her voice didn't tremble. Not once. Last week, I was humiliated, mocked, and filmed without my consent, because I said no. And for a long time, I thought I had to keep my head down and survive. But not anymore. Gasps spread across the crowd. Alina pulled out a folder. I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm speaking for the dozens of students who came forward after hearing my story, students who have been bullied, touched, taunted, or made to feel small because someone else thought they could. She read anonymous excerpts from her collected stories. Real stories. Students in the audience shifted uncomfortably, some hanging their heads. Others nodded, teary-eyed. Principal Harrow, sitting in the front row, looked visibly shaken. He stood to speak, but Alina held up her hand gently. Please, she said. Let me finish. The whole auditorium went still. You could hear a pin drop. The boys who did this to me thought they'd get away with it. They thought a ripped shirt would embarrass me so badly I'd never speak again. But here I am. Stronger than ever. And here they are, hiding behind nervous smiles and shrinking in their seats. She turned and looked directly at Bryce, Liam, and Carter. You didn't break me. You revealed me. The silence was electric. Then, slowly, applause started. First from the front row. Then more. Until the whole auditorium erupted. Not the usual clapping for assembly kind, but real, roaring applause. Alina stepped back, tears glimmering in her eyes, but not of sadness. Of power. The school launched an official disciplinary panel the following Monday. Bryce, Liam, and Carter were suspended pending a thorough investigation. But the punishment was just the beginning. The boys had become social pariahs. Their classmates looked at them with disgust. Girls who once admired their swagger now avoided them like the plague. Boys who used to laugh along went silent, unsure of where the line was anymore, and scared they might be next. Meanwhile, Alina started something bigger than herself. With Mia's help, she launched an online campaign called #StandSilentNoMore. It encouraged teens from other schools to come forward with their own stories. The movement exploded. Local news channels picked it up. Then national ones. Interviews followed. Alina never sought fame, but the world was listening now. Months later, during the Regional Youth Empowerment Summit, Alina was invited as a keynote speaker. She stood in front of hundreds of students from across the state. Her voice steady, her message clear. No one has the right to shame you, hurt you, or break you for refusing something you didn't want. Your voice matters, even when it shakes. Especially when it shakes. And back in Rosewood High, things began to change. Strict new rules about harassment were introduced. Teachers underwent sensitivity training. A peer support system was formed, led by none other than Alina. She wasn't that shy girl anymore. She was the girl who fought back with intelligence, courage, and dignity, and won. And Bryce. Last anyone heard, his college application was denied after the incident surfaced. Karma doesn't knock gently, it breaks down the door when you least expect it. To everyone watching, if you've ever felt small, unheard, or invisible, let Alina's story remind you that even the quietest voice can start a storm. You are stronger than you think. And your story matters. Fire. If this inspired you, hit that subscribe button. Be part of our family that stands against bullying, lifts up the silent, and shares powerful stories like this every week. Don't just watch, make noise with us. Your voice could be the next one that changes everything.